Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing 10 tips for creating with felt, and I'm going to be creating this adorable ornament gift card holder that you see in the center. And I'm going to start with the very first tip, and that is to start with a good felt. Now, I have a bunch of brand new felt here from the Essentials by Ellen line. They are available in collections. This here is the ColourPop collection that I am showing you, and you can see I've actually already dug into this felt. But this is a high quality wool felt, and that means it's gonna die cut beautifully. If you start with a cheap felt, you may be frustrated with your results. So I'm just kind of flipping you through some of the colors available here, and I've pulled out some colors from several of the collections that I'll be using today. Now, to do my die cutting, I'm going to be using the brand new So Cute Ornament set here. And so I'm going to grab the dies that I'll be using, and I'm going to trim down my felt. Now, my second tip is to have a good pair of long blade scissors on hand, because that makes trimming down this felt really easy. And I'm going to trim down several pieces of felt because I want to save time by cutting multiple die cuts at once. And I'm also going to cut multiple layers at once. And yes, you can do this with a good die cut machine and some good felt and the right tools. So I'm also going to be using these little holly leaves. They are from the So Cute Snowman set. And so my third tip was to save time by cutting multiples. My fourth tip is to use a shim, because I'm telling you, the shim makes all the difference in the world. So I'm adding all of my felt and my dies onto my plastic cutting pad here. And then I'm going to add my metal shim. And then I'm going to add my plastic shim, my magnetic shim, and my second plastic cutting plate. Now, this is the standard die cutting sandwich for the Gemini Junior with just an addition of that metal shim. And you're going to see that when I pull these out, they die cut beautifully, even through the 2 layers of felt that I have there. So you're going to notice that I am just grabbing these die cuts and setting them aside. I am not worrying about those little hanging chads that I have, the little holes. Save time. Don't poke the holes out, because you're going to be poking them out when you stitch anyway. Now, I did have one little tiny area that didn't cut through both of those layers of felt, so I just trimmed that with my scissors. And that brings me to my next tip, and that is to add some cardstock for support. So on the bottom of this, you're going to see I have a double layer of Nina Solar White cardstock. And with this pink piece, yes, I am poking the holes out despite my previous tip, but that's just so you can see where I am lining up this landscape die from the Essentials by Ellen line. I want you to be able to see where I'm placing it relative to the holes that are already cut out, but I am not poking out the holes on the ornament or any of the other pieces. So I'm going to add a couple layers of cardstock for support on this ornament. Now, a lot of people like to use like an iron-on fabric fusing, but let me just tell you that anything in the sewing aisle intimidates me. This is about as much sewing as I do, and you're going to see it's really simple. And so I'm not about to go try to find the right fabric fusing. I'm going to just use a couple layers of cardstock to add support to this felt so that it makes a nice embellishment for the front of my card. Now you can see I have die cut that felt there, that pink felt, with the landscape die. And I'm going to move this die down one more time, and I'm going to cut it in the exact same position, just a little bit shifted lower, so that I can have this rickrack style embellishment for my ornament band that's there as well. And it will have the holes cut out of the side. Now, once I have all of my pieces die cut, I'm going to go ahead and get my thread out, and I'm going to show you my secret weapon. These floss threaders are my next tip. I absolutely love these. My orthodontist used to give these to our children to floss their teeth when they had braces, and I found out that they are so useful in the craft room. Now, you could probably actually stitch with this, but I like to use them just to thread my needle. So it's a flexible plastic kind of loop with a long kind of needle nose end on it. And I'm just going to place my thread through the large part of the loop. Then I am going to take the long flexible plastic tip and thread it through the eye of my needle and then just pull my thread through. Now this is a larger eyed needle, so it's kind of easy to thread, but on those smaller eyed needles, this comes in really handy. So my next tip is actually to use a double layer of floss as you're stitching, and that's going to help your stitching look a lot fuller. So I actually have this floss folded in half, and so I am adding 2 layers of floss as I stitch around the edge. And I'm just doing a simple blanket stitch, so I've come up through the back, then I just go around the edge of the ornament to the back side again and come up through the next hole. This has got to be the easiest stitch that you can do on something like this. It's fast and easy, and you can see that I'm actually stitching the additional elements on as I go throughout. Now I'm going to go to the next tip, and that is actually to turn your project over to the back side. And this seems really simple, but for some reason I always feel like I have to look at the top of my ornament as I'm trying to poke the needle through the hole on the back side. And I don't know why I feel like that's necessary. There is nothing wrong with flipping your project over to the back side so that you can actually see what you're trying to poke out. And then coming up and going around the opposite direction. This makes life a lot easier, but for some reason I'm stuck in my ways and I feel like I have to sew from the front side. So the next tip is to turn it to the back side. So once I've stitched around the edge, I'm going to take this and just run my needle back through some of those stitches along the edge to tie this off. And I'm going to take the piece that I had attached to the back side when I started my stitching. I'm going to pull off the double-sided adhesive that I used to hold it in place and then just tie this off so that I have a nice finished edge there. And I am going to go back and reinforce that little knot with a little bit of Gina K Connect adhesive later on so that I can make sure that that doesn't come undone. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my sentiment. And I'm using the Retro Holiday Greetings stamp set here. And I'm going to gold heat emboss that on some Neenah Solar White cardstock. So I've prepped the surface using my powder tool. I inked up my stamp using some Versamark ink, stamped that onto my cardstock, added my gilded embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, and then I heat set using my Wow embossing tool. So my 10th and final tip for working with felt is to have some good glue on hand. You want a glue that's actually going to soak down into the fibers of the felt. And I have found that this Gina K Connect adhesive works really well. I used it to attach the heart to that little band that's decorating the ornament. And I also used it on the back side of the foam adhesive that I placed on the back of my little sentiment circle there. And I'll use the same adhesive to adhere the holly leaves that I die cut from the So Cute Snowman die set. And I'll just place those on the edge of that little sentiment circle there. And I found that this adhesive works really great with this felt. But the thing that you want to keep in mind is that you're finding a glue that's really going to soak into the fibers of the felt and hold that in place. Now to add little berries to the holly leaves, I am using these Hero Hues enamel dots, and I'm just using a couple of these light pink ones to go with that little ornament detail that I have on the front there. And like I mentioned before, I'm just adding a little Connect adhesive along that knot that I placed on the back side of my ornament to make sure that that doesn't come undone. So now I'm going to work on my card front, and this is going to be a layer that I'm going to place on the card base. And I'm using the Rustic Woodgrain stamp from the Essentials by Ellen line, and I'm stamping it onto some Neenah Solar White heavyweight cardstock using some Versamark ink. And I'm going to use some Ranger Silver Pearl embossing powder and heat emboss this. Now this leaves you with a really beautiful tone-on-tone pearly shine, and I absolutely love this wood grain heat embossed in this silver pearl cardstock. It is absolutely beautiful, and if you saw the release, probably not September, maybe August release from the Essentials by Ellen line with all the Christmas goodies from Julie, I heat embossed the heck out of this wood grain background using this Ranger Silver Pearl embossing powder, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I've added my card front onto the card base. I'm using some heavyweight Neenah Solar White cardstock for my card base. It's cut to 4 1/4 by 11 inches and then scored at 5 1/2 inches to create that top folding card base. And then I adhered my ornament on using a layer of foam adhesive, and then I just slipped my Starbucks gift card in there, and it is absolutely the perfect ornament holder. Now I wanted to show you a couple other projects that I created using the brand new So Cute dies from the Essentials by Ellen line. I created a couple of plushies, one using the ornament and one using that snowman. And the ornament, once again, with that little band across it, makes a perfect gift card holder. And then I used the So Cute Snowman die set again, but I die cut it from some cardstock, and I just colored that cardstock using some Copic markers to create this final card. So that completes my project for today, featuring 10 tips for working with felt on your projects and featuring these brand new So Cute dies from the Essentials by Ellen line. They are a part of the October 2019 Essentials by Ellen release that's available exclusively at ellenhutson.com. And if you want to see more projects featuring the stamps and dies from this release, head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Over there, I will have tons of project inspiration featuring this brand new release. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in these projects in the description at YouTube, so be sure to check there if you are looking for something specific. But if you do head on over to my blog today, I will have more still shots, more information, a complete list of supplies, as well as some information on a blog hop and a giveaway. So be sure to join me there. As always, thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I am so glad you're here. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications for my YouTube channel so you won't miss any of my card making and paper crafting video tutorials here. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.